From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And Wally, it's another episode of 10K Takes Television as we make that pivot from May into June.
Yeah, and it's all baseball right about now since we have no basketball and hockey to talk about with regard to Minnesota's teams, obviously. And the Vikings are kind of in a rest period, although we still have a couple of those stupid mini camps coming up, although I've been told that those are important. So, but yeah, as far as the fans are concerned, it's all Twins right now.
Well, and the good news in this market is the Minnesota Twins are on top of the AL Central, currently playing a 5-game series in Pure, Michigan against Detroit.
On top, but for how long?
Well, that's going to be the drama of the summer. Can they sustain this good start? They've certainly overcome a lot.
Right.
The Chicago White Sox, I believe, will make a run. Are they as dominant as a year ago? No, they haven't shown that. The White Sox have issues.
They do.
I watched them the other night on the national game on Fox, and they lost to the Chicago Cubs in that Windy City rivalry that they have. But I think the Twins are built for the long haul. But, can you keep losing key guys? Like Carlos Correa goes on the COVID list. Royce Lewis finally gets the recall from St. Paul and then bangs into the wall.
Three innings in.
Yeah, Byron Buxton imitation, and he's gone. And then Sonny Gray. And so they've been resilient. Can they continue to be this way?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the schedule gets more difficult. After this Detroit series, they go to Toronto. And that's another whole story because they're not going to be able to bring their whole roster because several guys still have not been vaccinated. And you can't get into Canada unless you've been vaccinated. So that's part of the deal. And then they have the Yankees coming here. I mean,
then Tampa Bay.
And then Tampa Bay. So it's not getting any easier. The time for the Twins to win was to get as many as you can against Kansas City. They split that home series this past weekend. Get as many as you can in Detroit this week because it ain't getting any easier. And like you said, Chicago is languishing behind, and my Cleveland former Indians they're going to be right around 500. I don't think they're going to make any kind of a run. So the one thing that they have going for them is they're in the Central Division, and I don't think that that's going to change very much. We'll see. Chicago could put together a string here and force the Twins' hand, but right now the Twins are in first. They've got to beat these teams that they're supposed to beat.
Yeah, these cupcakes. Although, the cupcakes also know that if they're going to sustain any kind of success in the upcoming months, they've got to win these games. So the Royals split with the Twins. I was at a couple of those games. I know you were at one, and now the Twins go into Detroit, and the Tigers have gained a little traction. So from the Kansas City and Detroit perspective, when you see the first-place Twins and you're trying to salvage your summer and give your fan base a reason to come to the ballpark, you need to chop off some games off that Twins lead in the AL Central. It is a mediocre division, in my opinion.
Right.
That may be to the Twins' advantage. We heard Al Newman say it a week ago. Well, who cares? Just win and get in, and then you don't know what's going to happen. Now, the last few years, it's been quick exits for teams out of the AL Central. Cleveland, Chicago White Sox, Minnesota Twins. I think the last team to really make a serious run was Kansas City.
Yeah.
When the Royals won that World Series.
True. Even the 2016 Indians made it to the World Series and lost to the Cubs. You have to keep going down that path, don't you? You just throw that out there.
They just couldn't seal the deal.
You wanted me to walk right into that one.
You walked into not a bear trap, a Cub trap.
Yeah, it was a Cub trap in that case. Very good. I like that analogy. All right, let's talk about Royce Lewis real quick here. You mentioned it off the top. Here's a guy that was doing well at AAA. Heck, he was doing well with the Twins before he got sent down to AAA. They bring him back. They send Miranda down, then they end up having to bring Jose Miranda back up, and he ends up hitting a home run but made an error on Monday. But Royce Lewis, are they going to put him in the outfield again after he goes running into the wall a la Byron Buxton? I mean, those are the chances you take with a guy who hasn't played much in that position in the major leagues. Does he know these parks well enough? And it's his home park where he did it. For him to be playing center field.
Well, and I'm sure from the perspective of Royce Lewis, He doesn't want to go back to St. Paul.
So he'll play anywhere.
No disrespect to the capital city, but you don't want to be with the Saints. You want to be with the Twins.
Right.
Once you get a taste of MLB life and that cushy per diem and the 5-star hotels and the luxury travel, you don't want to go back to AAA. So he's probably thinking, I'm going to go get this ball. I'm going to turn into Byron Buxton Part 2. But you do have to, know what you're running into. Maybe
a wall.
Maybe the Twins need more padding. That's what I'm thinking. How about a triple layer of padding to save their center field?
Oh, boy, yeah. That's not good. I mean, he goes out there, and I thought that the idea was to keep him at AAA so he could learn these different positions and then bring him into the majors, and so he could play him. He was there, a week maybe,
Yeah.
and then they stick him out in center field and at Target Field. I don't know. I think they say one thing and do another, and then do one thing and say another. I can't follow what Rocco is trying to do.
They're politicians in a dugout. Politicians
yes,
in a
are.
ballpark, basically. They're going to tell you what you want to hear, or maybe don't want to hear. But you're right. I think they march to the beat of their own drum, and it's ironic because I was at the St. Paul Saints game on Sunday with my kids, and we made the plans to go on Friday, and I thought, okay, we'll see Royce Lewis. Well, of course, he got called up. We missed that one. Did see Jake Cave, though. He's out there thriving in right field. He had a walk-off single to win it in the ninth inning.
I'm not sure there's room for Jake Cave, unless they keep getting hurt at the major league level.
I think you're right. Now, you wonder what a guy like Jake Cave is thinking, because he's played a lot at the MLB level, but he's in St. Paul right now.
Yeah. So on Monday, Memorial Day, the Twins play the Tigers. Byron Buxton gets his scheduled day off.
Well, it's a holiday.
Does
he get holiday pay?
Does he get double pay? Yes.
I hope so.
And then they also have Correa out of the lineup as well. Now, it turns out that sometime during the day, they're not saying when exactly, they find out that Correa tests positive for COVID, so he goes on the COVID list. But did they know that before the game? It didn't sound like it. It sounded like they found out during the game, and it was a scheduled day off for him as well, which brings up the question, Correa and Buxton off on the same day. Why do you do that? Now, they must have known something or knew that there was a test or something, because why would you give them both off on the same day? Because, man, defensively, they were a wreck on Monday. They made all kinds of mistakes out there.
Definitely, those are major losses for the Twins. These are the top 2 picks in, the 2012 MLB draft. I mean, number 1 was Byron Buxton, number 2, Carlos Correa. So you're losing studs. And from the perspective of Detroit, the game was at Comerica Park there in downtown Motown. I'm sure the Tigers, the players, A.J. Hinch, the skipper, thrilled. Don't have to see Buxton or Correa. But as a fan, going to the game.
Absolutely.
You're probably telling your kid, we're going to see this guy Byron Buxton. We're going to see this guy Carlos Correa, and then they're not in the lineup. That's deflating.
Yeah, neither one of them in the lineup. Yeah. They did end up pinch hitting with Byron late in the game, which brings into question again, Rocco saying, well, what's his day off? It's a day off. He's not going to pinch hit. He's not going to do anything. Well, he pinch hit. He ended up striking out.
And this just in. Because he was a pinch hitter, he can now file for a comp day. Because he did work on Memorial Day. So MLBPA is probably getting the paperwork going as we speak.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. All right. We need to take a break, but we're going to talk some soccer.
Yeah, we'll be getting our kicks with the newest team in the Twin Cities, the Minnesota Aurora. Stick around. This is 10K Takes, your Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 takes, and we are going to talk some soccer now, more specifically women's soccer, and we are joined now by our guest today, Jen Larrick. She is an assistant coach for the Minnesota Aurora, who kicked off their season last week against Green Bay, a border battle to start out the season. Not only to start out the season, but start out the league, the brand new league that you guys are in. First of all, welcome, Jen, and tell us about this U.S. pre-professional women's league that you guys started off with a draw. And I know that was a little bit of a nail biter too, with them scoring in the final minute of play.
Yeah, it was an amazing opening night, and we did leave a little bit with a sour taste in our mouth, hoping we would have won. Really exciting to be starting our season. We've been planning this team for years now, and so the fact that it's all coming together and we actually have games and fans in the stadium and players in the field is really exciting. The USLW is a brand new league. The USL has had a league on the men's side for a long time and has really professionalized infrastructure and resources. And they've decided to give that same, allocation of resources, attention, financial backing to women now, which is a really important step forward. And the goal is for this league to be sort of a stepping stone between, say, Division I college and full-blown professional soccer. So a lot of our players have dreams of playing professionally, and we think of this league as pre-professional. So it's a very high commitment team. We train or play games 6 out of 7 days a week. We have, 4 staff members. We have video sessions. So it's a very professionalized environment.
So you're on a Missouri road trip coming up. You go to Kansas City and St. Louis. But your home venue is the TCO Performance Center in Eagan, which is known as home base for the Minnesota Vikings. Tell us about the facility, and I assume you enjoy playing there. Natural grass, intimate setting. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I had never been until sort of a week before our first training session, and I was blown away with the level of the facility. It's sort of a beautiful setting. There's 2 lakes behind our field. There's a bridge through some tall grass. It's really sort of beautiful. And then the field is just fantastic. We're on the turf field, so we're not on the grass fields. It's turf. And the stadium is just perfect for soccer. The fans have a great view no matter where they are in the stadium. It feels like a really intimate setting. And we can, no matter where we are on the field, we can hear the love from the fans. So I've been nothing but blown away by the environment. It's really fun to coach in, and the players have loved playing in it.
And the environment you speak of, I heard, now we weren't there, but I heard nothing but good. You had 5,400 people, a sellout for your first match against Green Bay. And I heard that it was an electric environment. You tell me, you describe it. You were on the pitch that day. What was it like to have all those fans in there for your first match?
Yeah, just incredible. I had to sort of soak it in for a second and then snap myself into okay, I've got a coach and I can't just be in awe of the fans the whole time. But yeah, really electric. And we had a sort of a fan group section that was leading chants and drumming and had flags waving the whole game. And I think one of the really beautiful things about it is I felt like a very eclectic group of fans. It wasn't just for young girls who play soccer. It wasn't just for families. There was everyone there. We had grandmas, we had, middle-aged adults, we had young professionals looking for something fun to do and grab a beer with their friends. And just everyone was so supportive. Even though we gave up a goal in the last second, the fans were standing and just really cheering on the players at the end of the game.
Jen, it's been baby steps for women's soccer in the U.S., but I think you got through a big hoop recently when the U.S. Soccer Federation said we're going to guarantee equal pay for the men's and women's national teams and international competition. And some of the players on the Aurora and around your league might be in that situation someday. So how huge was that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the day that was announced, I shared a link to an article in our team's group chat, and every single player was liking it and commenting. And I think it was really meant a lot to them. I got emotional that day. I've been watching women's soccer my whole life. The 1999 World Cup was when I was in first grade. And so I grew up being able to see women's soccer on a professional level on the biggest stage. But at the same time, we know that it wasn't valued financially in the same way. And so to have that change at this particular moment for the players on our team, I think makes them feel like a whole new world is possible for them to have a solid career in this sport. When I was in college, I interned with the Boston Breakers, who used to be a member of the NWSL. And we had a lot of young players play a season and then say, I can't afford to do this anymore. So the fact that people are starting to take women's soccer players seriously as professional athletes and to pay them in a way that allows them to actually support themselves is, I think, really paradigm shifting for young women.
What percentage of the players currently rostered on the Aurora do you feel like have aspiration to play at that next level, or is this something to fill time in between? I mean, is it a huge percentage? Do every one of them want to play professionally now? Is that why they're playing with the Aurora?
Yeah, for I would say the majority of our players, at least 50% want to play professionally. They're connecting with agents. They're making film videos of themselves. That's a big part of why they did this. And many of the players on our roster are, current sophomores, current juniors, have, a few more seasons of college soccer left. And so they're coming to have this experience with us so that they can get that really professionalized feel outside of an academic institution, and then have that film to give to scouts, to NWSL coaches, and to really start building their network to make that happen in the future.
Can it happen in the U.S.?
Part of their goal. Say that again?
Can it happen in the U.S., or do they have to go overseas?
Both are possible. So the NWSL has a draft every year. They draft about 30-ish women, typically women who play Division I college soccer. And it's absolutely possible. And I think having this experience with us sets you up to be really prepared if you are drafted. And then each NWSL team also has a reserve squad. And so, for example, some of the reserve squads play in our league in the USLW. And so part of what we're working on building as a club is connections to each NWSL club so that our team can hopefully in the future really have a clear pathway between us and a full-on NWSL squad. It's absolutely possible. And then other players, they want to travel and are specifically interested in that abroad experience. Our other assistant coach, Jenny, played abroad in the Bundesliga. Our goalkeeper coach, Cassie, played abroad in England. And so our staff has some of those connections to make that happen as well.
What does taking a stand mean in women's soccer? Right? We see the signs behind you there at the offices in Egan. Megan Rapinoe specifically, I mean, a few days ago, she took a hard stance on, needing better gun laws in the U.S. She has done what Colin Kaepernick did by kneeling during the Star-Spangled Banner. I feel like women's soccer wants to take a stand in a lot of ways. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't think all women's soccer players are a monolith, but I do think the U.S. women's national team has been real leaders in athlete activism. And I think when you start with your own personal experience, as we talked about earlier, they've had to fight for equal pay. And so they've worked on advocating for themselves. They've worked on organizing for their own rights. And I think when you start there, it's really easy to then get to that next step of, okay, what other, groups of folks in the United States are being left behind, are marginalized? Who else can I start to advocate for? And I've been really inspired by and impressed with the way that many of the U.S. women's national team players have done that.
Well, Jen, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Good luck on this inaugural season of Minnesota Aurora, and I promise, Eric and I want to come out and watch you guys, so we'll see you out in Egan here in the coming weeks.
Perfect. We look forward to seeing you at a game. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.
See you, Jen.
She's Jen Larrick. She is an assistant coach with the Minnesota Aurora Women's Soccer Club. They play out at the TCO Performance Center. More to come. Our takes of the day after this timeout.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10,000 takes, Wally and Eric. Some sad news over the holiday weekend. We lost a former Viking who the Vikings decided not to continue on with after he was charged with a felony count, which, by the way, he was eventually cleared up. But we lose Jeff Gladney in an auto accident. Really tragic.
Yeah, just the worst kind of news you can possibly get. I mean, he's 25 years old, getting another chance with the Arizona Cardinals and a first-round draft choice, as you just touched on, out of TCU. And all you can do is, thoughts and condolences and prayers go out to the Gladney family, but just horrible. Such a young guy. It reminds me a little bit of Dwayne Haskins, that tragedy that we're still trying to process. And I guess you just, you never know. Life is fragile.
Yeah, and he was, I think the Vikings were really counting on him when they drafted him because that was an issue and still is kind of to a certain degree. Those defensive backs and those cornerbacks, they have been very frail as far as that position has gone.
Well, there's no doubt. If you invest draft capital, a number one pick in a guy, as in Jeff Gladney, you are expecting big things out of him. And it didn't work out in Minnesota. It may have worked out in Arizona.
Right.
I mean, he certainly at 25 had a lot of football ahead of him. So this is just a very unfortunate news.
Yeah. All right. NBA Finals are now upon us. It is going to be Golden State and the Celtics. We get to watch Andrew Wiggins get his push for a ring. And, what a better situation for him to be in than to be with Steph and Thompson and the rest of that gang with the Warriors, who already have 3 championships in this recent era.
Yeah, they have really been the closest thing we've got to a dynasty now in the NBA, because this is 6 trips in 8 years to the NBA Finals.
Right.
They're going to try to make it 4 titles, and as a franchise they've won 6 going way back in time. But yeah, Andrew Wiggins, certainly the trade for D'Lo, and the Warriors got a top pick as well from Minnesota, round 1 pick. It's lopsided. There's no way to spin it or sugarcoat it. I know I've seen some stuff from Timberwolves folks about, well, this or this. No, the deal has been better for Golden State. Now, are the Timberwolves arcing up? They appear to be. I think they had a pretty good season, but they've got a lot of work to do to get to that level of where Golden State is. And the great thing about Andrew Wiggins is he's embracing that defensive role that they want him to play, along with giving them offense and poster dunks over Luka and stuff like this. This should be fun. I mean, Boston, there's the pedigree there. And then you got Golden State, the modern pedigree, coast to coast. A lot of air miles going to be logged.
Yeah, well, like the old days when it was the Celtics and the Lakers.
Yes.
It was an East Coast, West Coast battle. You're going to get the same thing here. Warriors do have home court, but I like the Warriors in this. I think the Warriors in 5 or 6 games. I think they're just the best team, and they have been for quite a while now.
Different twist, though. They're not playing in Oakland at Oracle.
True.
Which had this mystique about it, because it was just this. It was a barn almost,
Yeah.
Now they're at Chase Center in San Francisco. It'll get plenty loud, but it's not Oracle.
Yeah, well, I think the Splash Brothers can make threes from anywhere. They could make it from the other side of the bay if need be.
They could. They are that good. They would splash it right through the hoop.
Which brings me to another point about the Timberwolves. Now that Tim Connolly is on board as team president or whatever his role is going to be, how many fixes is he going to be able to make? Because his hands are kind of tied too. He doesn't have a lot of movement here as far as what they're going to get.
Well, I think, they're probably going to explore the D'Lo option. Is there a market for D'Lo? Is he coming back?
Yeah, great question.
We don't know that, and they're not going to tip their hand, and
No.
they shouldn't. And then do you add another big guy? Somebody who can actually go down on the block and, clog up space, get rebounds, because as we know, Cat is a floater big guy. He'll go on the block once in a while, but he loves being beyond the arc.
Unfortunately.
And we know that he loves to hoist up the 3-ball. So I still think, even though I highly doubt he's going to be around when the T-Wolves are drafting, but the Kofi Coburn out of Illinois,
oh boy,
perfect kind of guy to come here. He reminds me of a a Zion or a Shaq. Not saying he'll be that good. He's got to prove it, but he has that kind of body and physique.
Yeah.
Boy, did he just eat up the Gophers.
Oh, well. Yes, he did. Well, I mean, he was a man among boys
He was,
playing against the
yeah.
Gophers. I think he's more like a Shaq type of
Yeah.
player, though. He's not really a scorer. He just gets around the basket and just, dominates with his body size and everything. So that would be nice. Pick up Cooper. I'll take that.
Well,
guy.
and if you could somehow maneuver a deal to get in a position to get him, that could be the piece that elevates the Timberwolves into that next level.
NHL. We're finally down to the Final Four in the NHL. Man, this thing's not. Is this going to end by the 4th of July?
Yes.
Lord.
I don't know. That's just it. It might not. And here's what I think the NHL has a good quartet of teams, though, Wally. If you look in the East, you've got Tampa Bay and the New York Rangers. For the Lightning, they're going for the three-peat, which is remarkable. The New York Rangers, that's the top market in the U.S., so you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on television. They've been a good story. And then in the West, it's Edmonton and Colorado. Can a Canadian team win the Cup for the first time since '93? Well, you've got Connor McDavid. You have a shot. And then you've got Colorado, Fire on Ice, led by Nathan McKinnon and company. So I think the NHL has a good Final Four, and it should garner some ratings. I think the NHL's trending up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Colorado's the team to beat, though. They are the best team that remains. But as you said, man, how do you knock on Toronto or Tampa Bay? I mean, they seem to find a way every single
Tampa
season.
Bay.
When we come back, takes of the day. Stay with us. This is 10,000 Takes, your sports take.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K Takes Television. Wally and Eric with you. Final segment of today's show. We've got the mood meter ready to go because it's time for Takes of the Day.
Indeed.
Are you a grumpy Guardian, an angry American? Maybe you're Captain Sunshine. Who knows?
Well, I wouldn't be Captain Sunshine if I was a dyed-in-the-wool Twins fan. Look, the Twins, in first place in the American League Central, they're going to cross the border very soon. They are going to head into Canada, where you must be vaccinated in order to enter the country. Well, several of the Twins, and we don't know exactly how many, have chosen not to be vaccinated, and so they will not be able to join the Twins in Canada. Now, the Twins aren't the only team with this issue, but they are a team that's kind of hovering around what's going to happen next. They're playing a good Toronto team. Then they have to come home to the New York Yankees. There are some issues with this. Get vaccinated. What's the big deal? And some of them had indicated, well, if it's a playoff situation, then maybe I will get vaccinated. Well, what's the difference? It is important. Get it done so you can play with your squad.
And the mood meter says grumpy Guardian.
Fair enough.
He's all worked up. All right. Well, my take of the day, I'm going to give a shout out to some folks in the sports world because, yes, we call sports the toy department of human affairs, but you know what? It can have an effect, and it has. We've had two more just horrific mass shootings, Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas. And I want to give credit to the Buffalo Bills for stepping up in their community. How about the Golden State Warriors, led by their head coach, Steve Kerr, speaking out against gun violence, wanting to get tougher gun laws. And then you have Dave Roberts, LA Dodgers manager. Gabe Kapler, the skipper of the San Francisco Giants, does not come out for the national anthem anymore because he doesn't like the direction the U.S. is going, the exception being Memorial Day. So he's taking a stand. Megan Rapinoe, we talked about it in our soccer interview, and the New York Yankees and Tampa Bay Rays as organizations are being active about getting better gun laws in the U.S.
Yeah, all these folks starting to take a stand, and it continues.
Twin Cities teams, you can step up too. All right, we got to go. Let's FedEx out those thank yous. One to our great crew here at Channel 6, also to Rocky, and of course, Jen Larrick. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.